Let's talk for a second about how WordPress runs behind the scenes. So, back in Intro to Web Design, you guys made HTML files, and these contained just the blueprints of a web page. You had your HTML, you had your content, and all that stuff. And you might think that when you create a post or a page on WordPress, then it whips up an HTML file and then puts it into a file directory, just like you did for your midterm. Um, might be speaking anachronistically. I don't know if you guys still do that. And I'm assuming this is being listened to like 100 years in the future. But WordPress works slightly different. In fact, tremendously different. What it does is it's filled with what are called PHP files. PHP stands for PHP Hypertext Preprocessor. The kid who invented it had a sense of humor, so he made a recursive acronym, is what they're called. But basically, they're full of code that looks like this. And looking at that, that probably doesn't make a lot of sense to you. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me either. But I understand what it is from a conceptual level. Basically, what it is a set of instructions that tells the server how to put a page together. It says you start with the header, you build this, then you build this, you build all these things, then you move on to the page, you build this, blah, 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 blah. And so it has a series of what we call template files. Of it says this is the way that a page should be put together. And the second part of the equation is that it sends queries to the database where all of the site content that you produce, your posts, your pages, your pictures, your options, all those things are stored in the database. So when it says right here about in the template file, there's a little line of code that says get content. And so it goes into the database and it finds the content for the particular post that you're looking for, and it spits it out, and then at the end of it all, it's created an HTML page, which it then sends to your computer, and that's what's displayed. So anyway, that's what that's about. So we're going to find the particular template file that's responsible for making this type of page. This type of page is called a portfolio item. In fact, you can see it up here, portfolio item. We made a decision to put all the projects as portfolio items. It's a custom post type that comes with Avada. So I'm going to go ahead and look in the files and try and find something that sounds like it would be for a single portfolio item page. And there we go. Single Avada underscore portfolio. They did a good job of naming things. I've worked with themes where everything is named like page 1F, like completely ununderstandable. It takes forever to figure out what the thing that you're trying to work for. But so we're going to drag this over into this child theme. We're going to make a duplicate of it. Like I said before, a child theme is there so that you can work in a safe environment and you can't screw up the theme inadvertently. So I'll drag it over, and I'm working on a Mac, and so it has this little trick where you just hold the option button, and you see that little plus shows up. Then you drag it in, and it automatically creates a duplicate file. Refresh. There it is. So yeah, that's really neat. I saved so much time by doing that. So we'll open it up. And so what we're left with, or what we see here in front of us, is 354 lines of code. I don't know what a lot of this stuff means, what it does, or how to even do anything with it. But like we try and say with all the technology that we teach here at the Everett program, is that you're not an engineer. We don't want you to be one. If you want to be one, that's wonderful. But you don't need to be in order to do some great technology. And that's why we say that we like to hack things. So we just need to use our noggins and figure out a way to find whatever it is. So I know a bit about PHP in principle, in that it's the instructions for creating a web page. So I know that somewhere around here, the words skills needed are going to appear somewhere in the code. And I can even see what kind of element it's going to be that creates it. skills needed. So it's an H4. You can see right there in the little tooltip. It's an H4. So I know that someplace in this crazy confusing template file that there's going to be the code to create a size 4 header that contains the exact words skills needed. So I don't want to look through all 354 lines of this. That would be a waste of time. So I'll just use the good old find function. I'm just doing this for your benefit. You can just hit Command F and it'll bring it up. So I'm going to look for skills needed. Do the find all. And so this nice helpful little window up here in the top pane, it'll show you everywhere where that occurs, and only once. So all right, that makes our job easier. And then down here it'll show you where in the code that it occurred. So here on line 245, I'll just go down to it, why not? Here on line 245, this kind of looks like something that makes some kind of sense. You see there's an H4, there's the closing H4. Those are things that we've seen before. So that right here, a heading size 4 gets created, and then this crazy PHP code gets executed. And look, there's the string that we were looking for, skills needed. So let's just see if that does anything. And it did. Look, it became semicolon LKSDNF. It looks like, what was it what we're doing? Oh yeah, location. Location. We'll save it. Location is the thing that it's going to print out. And then comma, Avada. This is, you can see that same pattern of here's a thing that's going to get printed out, and then a comma, and then Avada. I really don't know what that's about. I never took the time to really learn all that much about PHP, but I do know that I didn't do anything to it and nothing bad happened, so I'm just going to make sure not to. So there we go. Location. Looking better already. So we'll just finally do the one categories. So categories, I know is the word categories is going to come up a lot on this template file, just because categories is something that's kind of integral to WordPress. And so using the find and the find function might not be the best option. But something else that I do know about PHP is that it starts from the top and moves all the way to the bottom. So it wouldn't start like with this and then jump over to this sidebar and then build the header and then build the content and then build all this stuff. These guys are all grouped together, so I know that the code for this categories is going to come very shortly after the code for location. So I'm just going to hunt through all these lines of code and find it. So where were we? Oh yeah. So we found skills needed on line 245, so it shouldn't be much further down. That's where it creates a div and if. That's just a programming thing. Oh look, there's another H4 and PHP echo categories Advada. This is what we're looking for. As you can see, it starts with an H4 and then there's some PHP code and then it closes the H4. This looks exactly like this one that we had already altered. So $10 says that categories right here in single quotes is the thing that we need to alter. So let's change it to project theme. And just to screw with everything, let's say and there we go. Project theme is now what it says. So that, in my opinion, looks better than how it did. And just to show you that you can just write stuff on the template. There There we go. Don't actually do that, but it's kind of fun as a learning tool. All right, so we got a lot of stuff to supplement to what was already written. If you found this useful, then share it with your classmates. Tell your instructor that this was helpful, and we'll make more of them. All right, thank you.